Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you the absolute easiest way to set up SFML for C++ development in both Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. But do note that this method will work in any IDE. I just chose to use those two as an example as they're probably the most popular. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, I've gone ahead and opened up Visual Studio Community Edition to start with, and you should see this screen right over here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is create a new project. We'll see a few templates show up and we are going to pick CMake project. Now don't be alarmed if you don't know what CMake is or how to use it. You do not need to for this guide. I will go over the basics and in the end it's just going to be a copy paste of a file. Alright, so we're going to go next. We're going to choose the name. Let's just go SFML tut. Let's put an underscore. Right, and we are going to create. Oh, I already have that. Well, let's just call it 2 then. And after we've created it, we'll see there's some initial setup from Visual Studio. Close all of this. And there we go. On the left-hand side, you'll see we have some starter files. We have a CPP file with some basic code. And we have a CMakeLists.txt. Now you might not understand what's going on here. It's okay because we are actually going to get rid entirely of the Visual Studio Community Edition generated CMake file and copy paste with our own CMake file that you will find in the description. So let me do that very quick. There we go. I've gone ahead and copy pasted that CMake file into here. Now, before we do anything, let's just go a quick run through, alright, just to give you an idea. So first of all, we set our CMake version, we set our project and the project name. The only thing you will need to do is go through this file and change where it says your project name here. There's a few hits over there and down there. As you'll see, there's a few hits, okay? You will go ahead and change that to whatever the name is of your project, because this will actually be the name of your exe file and you don't want it to be your project name here when you actually do your project, okay? So first of all, what it does over here is it fetches SFML from the GitHub repository and copies it into your folders locally so that you don't have to do any of that tedious work yourself, okay? And this is the latest version of SFML. It then globs through source files and header files and collects them all to link to your project. We will go over the setup for that very soon. If there's no source files found, you get a little warning error because, I mean, how can you have a project with no source files? And then we add the executable linking our source files and header files. Also, what I've done is just a personal thing. I have these target compile options. I have treat warnings as errors on. If you do not want that, go ahead and delete these lines that I have highlighted right over here, okay? And this is just, again, more include setup. Here I have compiled for C++ 20. If you want to compile for a different version, you will simply just change it over there, like to 11, 14, etc. And over here, I link together all the SFML libraries, graphics, Windows, system, audio, network. You won't need anything else. I have also copied over an assets folder, which we will get over very soon. But all right, this is our CMake file. Now, once you have copy pasted it, you will press Ctrl S and some things will happen down here. You'll see it's preparing CMake projects. Okay, after pressing Ctrl S, you will see some things happen in the output console over here. You might notice that it said it failed, and that is because it gave us some warnings, no source files found, no assets, and yeah, that's about it. So obviously, without CPP files linked, we cannot actually have a project. So now I get to the actual structure of how you're going to lay out your projects. Let's get rid of these starter CPP and header files. Now for every project, if you don't want to touch anything with CMake, this is what you're going to do, okay? You are going to add a new folder. You are going to call it include. Let's add another folder. Oh, sorry, that was nested. We don't want that. Okay, we're going to add another folder and call it src for source files. And we are going to add another folder and call it assets. Okay, this is the setup that you will do every single time if you're using this CMake file and you do not want to make any edits yourself. And the gist of it is in include, you put your .h.hpp header files. Actually, .hpp wouldn't link, so just .h files if you don't want to change the CMake file. And then in src, you will put your CPP files. Now for our project to at least run, we need a CPP file. So let's make a main.cpp in our src folder, and we are going to fill it up with some starter code from the SFML website, copy paste it. So let me do that real quick. Okay, here is the starter code that I just copy pasted from the SFML website. Now, what we are going to do to actually build our project is step one, we go to the CMake file because remember it failed its generation. So we're going to press Ctrl S again. We're going to look at the output and we're going to wait. There we go. CMake generation finished successfully this time, as you can see down below over there. This is because now we actually have source file, we have the assets, we have the include, the out, we have everything. Okay. So now what you will need to do every time when you want to build, you don't have to keep running CMake, it should glob the things automatically. What you're going to want to do is go up here and select build and build all. All right. We will wait, give it some time as this is the first time building. And there we go. As we can see in the console, build all succeeded. Now when you go up to run over here, you can change your target to your project name here. Obviously, you know that will be your actual project when you change the name. This is the .exe that lives in the bin. We'll go over that now. But as you can see, when we run it, we have our SFML window right over here. Okay, let's close that up. Now let's go over where our build files actually are. If you'll see, there's this out folder with a build folder nested. For some reason, they're not showing up. Let me try and refresh. Nope. Okay. I'm not sure what's happening there, but if we open it up in File Explorer, we'll see we have our x64 debug. Open that up, and here's all CMake file nonsense. The one we're concerned with is the bin. Okay. This will contain our exe for our project and the very important assets folder that we have copied over. This is because if you put any assets into your project over here, you might have the pathing might not work out in your build, and that can get very annoying. So in the CMake file, I decided to copy over the assets folder so that the pathing stays the same. So if you have any pictures, fonts, etc., just nest them all in assets in different folders, and that should work just fine. As you can see, the include is just SFML and whatever. If you make any other headers file, you should be able to find that you can just hashtag include and then find the folder like that. For example, if we add a test h like that. So if we added this test.h and we're going to main, we include test.h just like that. Okay, everything's fine, very easy. You don't have to use relative paths because it's already getting everything in the include folder. Great. Now that is CMake finished for Visual Studio Community. I will see you guys in VS Code. Okay, here we are in VS Code. I've set up a blank project called SFML setup. It's got absolutely no files. So let's get started. Now, the first thing we're going to do is add a file, CMakeLists.txt. Great. You will now need to select your compiler. They should all show up right over here. For me, I'm just going to use my GCC compiler. Click that. Okay. CMake file should run some initial stuff. It's not really doing much because it's empty, but there you go. Okay, build file's written. Now, step one is let's first create that structure that we saw in Visual Studio Community. So we'll have an include folder, a source folder, an assets folder. There we go. In the source folder, we are going to make a new file, main.cpp, very similar to the Visual Studio Community. we are actually just gonna go ahead and copy over the files over there. As you can see, it cannot recognize SFML because we haven't set up the CMake list file as of yet. So let's do that. We are gonna copy over the CMake file from Visual Studio Community exactly as well. There we go. Press Ctrl S and let it regenerate. Sorry guys, I'm looking at this right now and we got this error because I see Visual Studio added this include test.h over here. Yeah, this is wrong. Okay, I don't know why Visual Studio Community added this over here, because it gets the header files automatically. I think it was that pop-up that showed up. So if you get that pop-up, say no or actually read it. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna run this again and it should find everything just fine right now. There we go. Build files have been written successfully this time. Now, if we go back to main, it now recognizes SFML. So now that the build files are ready, what you're going to do is press Ctrl Shift plus B. We are going to get this build menu and we're going to select CMake build. All right. Let that run. Okay, guys, the build has finished successfully. So what we can do now is close this terminal. And on the left hand side, you will see a build folder. If you open that up, there's all the CMake files. And once again, we're going to look in the bin. There's where your assets will go. And here is your exe. If we run that, we should get our blank window. All right. Now, that's it for the tutorial. I hope you guys found it useful. And if you did, please like and subscribe. If you have any more questions, comment them down below and I will answer them gladly. Thank you for watching.